And so today I'm going to talk about context. And one of the interesting things about context is that context on its own is challenging. Here's my pocket, and I searched and found dozens of things about context. But just in the last few days, here's 4 articles: Why Context is King for UNICEF, New Data Analysis Tools, Importance of Context in Data Collection and Data Context. And every one of them uses context in a different sense. And I'll use it in a slightly different sense myself. And I also looked up, just for hoots and giggles, I looked up marketing news and daily news on LinkedIn, or no, on YouTube, and found that there's nothing like this. This is the only news show that you're going to get every day, and you're going to get up-to-date stuff. You're going to get the stuff about LinkedIn and stuff about data context. This is very up-to-date. So let's go looking at the articles. The first one I liked, but it had very little to do with data context, except that it did, which is really the essence of what I want to talk about. So UNICEF got together with 40 entrepreneurs a couple of years ago in Silicon Valley, and they spent a week brainstorming solutions of how UNICEF could improve healthcare with data and with computers and stuff in third world settings. After a week, they were on the wrong track. They had come up with nada, zero, nothing. And because they wanted to create a subscription-based smartphone health app that would cost someone living in poverty more than a day's income, or water purifying solutions that would be delivered on a large truck. I have a friend actually who delivers carryable water solutions. They're really neat. They're about 4 foot long and a big pipe filled with sand and good bugs, and they clean the water right up. You just pour the water in the top, and out comes drinkable water in the bottom. And some 800,000 people now have better drinking water around the world because of that. So you have to have an idea of what you're trying to solve, the context of the solution. And this goes on. It says they couldn't even imagine what it's like to live on $1.90 a day or something. They developed they had pregnancy tests they were talking about that were $2.50 to $7. It sounds like nothing, but now they developed a whole range of highly accurate, low-cost, portable, resistant to temperature and humidity, and of all kinds of tests that are really, really, really inexpensive and revolutionizing healthcare. They also are using an SMS text-based system, which we think of as kind of no good, not much value. But 61,000 health workers in Uganda can share the platform. If they don't have malaria treatment drugs in one clinic, they can text the neighbor one. And so they got them all on text messaging, and it's just a text message platform. It's not a full cell phone, a full smartphone, because they don't need that. They need just the ability to message easily. Really good. So the idea is that the solutions are no good unless you have context. Now, here's another use of the word context, which I think is really funny. There's a new database by I always call it Lexus. It is Lexus, but I drive a Lexus, and it's not the same. LexisNexis has a new product called Context. And, for example, this one judge has ruled on 864 motions to dismiss in his career, and he granted 52% of them. That's half. That's a lot. But he tossed out 25% and split the baby on 23%. So he dismissed part of the suit, or part of the stuff, and kept some of it. Okay, his favorite case is Bell Atlantic Corp versus Twombly, okay, in 2007. And you can actually figure out what he wrote about cases that he decided on and which were his favorite cases to cite. And you can literally take the judge's own language and insert it into your own motion. But that's a product called Context. But it's great because it uses data to give you context rather than just saying, oh, data is valuable. This judge has ruled on 864 cases. That doesn't help you, right? That doesn't help you. So when I title this Data and Context, which is more important? You know what? Context is more important. It's better to know the cases that the judge likes than it is even to know how he ruled on most of his cases. Right? Because you get into his head and you get to understand what he thinks. Okay, so here's another one. The importance of context in data collection. And here they're talking about it's really kind of a pitch for a manufacturing system. But it says, okay, hypothetically, there's a machine that isn't working certain parts of the day. And you download the data and the machine is vibrating anomalously. You can laugh at me, it's okay. Anomalously. I can say that fast. Anomalously. I just can't look at it. Okay, certain hours of the day. And they take the machine all apart and can't find the source of the problem. Now, the article goes on to pitch something where you can measure all the machines and all the stuff. And find out that one machine is running at the same time this one is vibrating. Yeah, you might get that. But what if it's a train going by every day? What if it goes by in different times a day? What if it's a subway? Or jets going over? Depending on which direction the wind is, the flight pattern of takeoff goes over your factory. And that's pretty common. They put factories around airports quite often. So all of a sudden, you got to think. The first thing I would think about, knowing that it vibrates anomalously, is that it isn't this machine. There's something else is introducing vibration. And then you just pay attention for a day or two. Get a seismograph. We're doing too many big words today. Seismograph. And figure out what's vibrating at what time of the day. Or pay attention. Look out the door. Watch the sky. Maybe it's lightning and thunder. Anyway, a point is, there's a lot of context that it's just not so easy to measure. In my talk, which is coming up, here's the talk. We'll go over here to the talk. In my talk, Data and Context, there was actually, I read a data guy who said, we're now measuring all the important data. But they leave out things like witches per square kilometer and, the number of worms per cubic meter of soil. You're not measuring a lot of stuff. There's like an infinite amount of stuff you're not looking at. How do we connect data with context? That was UNICEF's question. They really almost needed to take these entrepreneurs on a trip, take them out there, show them what's what. And or help, or bring together the people in the clinics. There's something about that you can't get past with a bunch of data. Data is not context. And so that's what we're going to talk about in the next few days. And, dashboards, how you measure, how you portray data is going to be part of this thing. I worked with a bunch of really good companies. Adobe is a funny one because what we were getting from Adobe was like 3,000 to 6,000 names a month. And this was when they were, when everybody was switching over to Adobe Acrobat. And I said there just has to be more names. We found out that there was a filter being applied at May and Spey. Nobody would take responsibility for the filter. Nobody knew who made it. Nobody knew what it did. Finally, we said, just send us everything. Now, that in itself, that logic, was context. I said it can't be just 3,000 names. It can't be. And that's why wisdom is so powerful in looking at data. Because without wisdom, you don't have context at all. That's what we're going to be talking about. Now, I encourage you to hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube. Follow if you're on Periscope. Share this with your friends because this is the only live marketing news show in the world. And it's worth 10 minutes of your time every day to find out what's going on in the world that matters to you. I'm John Miglautsch.